Sky wave propagation. In today's session, we will discuss sky wave propagation. So, even before Sir Edward Appleton's pioneering the work in 1925, it has been suspected that ionization of the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere played a part in the propagation of radio waves, particularly at a high frequencies. It means that Sir Edwin Appleton's he suspected that there is ionized layer in the atmosphere in 1925. But even before that, of course, even before that, ionization of the upper parts of the Earth atmosphere was existing and it was playing an important role in propagation of radio waves at higher frequencies. So, radio wave propagation because of ionized layer of atmosphere was supposed to be existed before 1925. So, what were the experimental works done by Appleton? The Earth's atmosphere receives sufficient energy from the sun for its molecule to split into positive and negative ions. So because of sun's energy, the molecules of atmosphere means air molecules, in short air molecules, the various gases molecules split into ions, that is positive ions and negative ions because of sun's energy. So they remain ionized for a long period of time. So there were several layers of ionization at different heights under certain conditions which are reflected back to Earth the high frequency waves that would otherwise have escaped into the space. It means if there were no ionized layers in the Earth's atmosphere, then the high frequency waves which we are transmitting towards the space, towards the sky, may have escaped into the outer space and they would not have been reflected back. So this ionized layer plays a very important role in reflecting the high frequency waves. Otherwise, they could have escaped into the space. So the various layers, or we can say the strata of the ionosphere have specific effect on the propagation of radio waves. Now, before I would explain the ionosphere and what is its effects on space wave propagation, we will study the different layers of atmosphere. So this diagram shows various regions of atmosphere, and in this diagram we see that the ionosphere has D layer, E layer and F layer. Okay, so Earth's atmosphere has different layers starting with the stratosphere. The height is less than 10 kilometers. Then we have stratosphere. The height is around 50 kilometers from the Earth's surface. Then is the mesosphere. The height is around 85 kilometers. Then we have the thermosphere. Now, if we have a close look in this diagram, the ionosphere layer starts with a height of around, we can say, 70 kilometers. So at 70 kilometers around we have D layer. So ionosphere basically is starting from some part of mesosphere and thermosphere. And above the thermosphere is exosphere. So the height of ionosphere D layer is around 70 to 80 kilometers. Then E layer around 90 to 110 kilometers. And F layer around 220 to 300 kilometers. So these are the various regions of the ionosphere, or we can say various regions of Earth's atmosphere. Now we will, there is no such exact boundary where we can distinguish the different layers. So these dotted lines is fine, like you cannot separate different layers of atmosphere. They are slightly mixed in between each other. There is no sharp line of separation. Why? Because air is a mixture of gases and you cannot completely partition one gas from another. Now, this is actual ionospheric layers and what are their variations depending upon the time. So here on the x-axis we are having a time scale, that is our local time, hours local time, and on the y-axis we have altitude or height, and on the extreme right hand side the various names of the ionospheric layers have been given. So what are the various layers in the ionosphere? D layer, E layer and F layer. This F layer splits into F1 layer, F2 layer. Now why this the height is varying? Because of the sun's intensity, the thickness of these different regions increases or decreases. So as sun intensity or sun's radiation increases, the ionization of the gases present in the Earth's atmosphere increases. So maximum ionization will take place during the daytime, and during the morning and at the evening and night time the ionization will be very less. So D layer is existing from around 80 kilometers of height, E layer around 100 to 110 kilometers. Then we have F layer which is starting from around 210 kilometers. The approximate height of F layer is around 250 kilometers. The variation of F layer takes place from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. Then we can see that the height of the F1 layer, it is around 210 kilometers. Height of F2 layers in the December month is around, we can say, 280 kilometers. Then during the equinox, equinox means when the time of day and night is 12 hours. And F2 layer in the June month, it is having the highest height of around 350 kilometers. So roughly we can say that the F region extends from 110 kilometers up to 400 kilometers and above it. This is about ionospheric layers and their regular variations with respect to time. So here the time is in 24 hours scale, 24 hours format. So we find that the thickness of the ionospheric layer is maximum at around 12 noon and it decreases during the morning and during the evening. So we can say that the average thickness of the ionospheric layer is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now we will see in detail theoretical details of these ionospheric layers. The ionosphere and its effects. The ionosphere is the upper portion of the atmosphere which absorbs large quantities of radiant energy from the sun, and hence as it absorbs large energy from the sun it gets heated up, and because of the heating action it gets ionized. Ionization means the formation of positive and negative ions takes place in this layer. So there are variations in the physical properties of the atmosphere, and the physical properties that varies are temperature, density and their composition. So because of this and the different types of radiations received from the sun and the outer space, the ionosphere tends to be stratified rather than regular in distribution. Means there are formation of different layers, variations in the height as per the time durations. The most important ionizing agents are ultraviolet rays, alpha, beta, and gamma radiations from the sun, as well as the cosmic rays and the meteors. And the overall result is shown in the figure. It is the range of four main layers: the D layer, E layer, F1 layer, and F2 layer in the ascending order. So this is a D layer, E layer, F1 layer, and F2 layer. So the last two layers, F1 and F2 layer, combine at night to form a single layer, that is the F layer. The D layer is the lowest, existing at an average height of around 70 kilometers. So the average height of D layer is 70 kilometers, and the thickness of the D layer is around 10 kilometers. The degree of its ionization depends on the altitude of the sun above horizon, and thus the D layer disappears at night. So these dotted lines indicate that it is disappearing at night. It is the least important layer from the point of high frequency propagation, because at the night time the propagation, sky wave propagation, is not possible because there is absence of this D layer. It reflects some of the very low frequencies and low frequency waves and absorb mid frequencies and high frequency waves to certain extent. So this D layer reflects VLF and LF waves. It absorbs MF frequency band and HF frequency band frequencies. The E layer is the next in height. The average height is around 100 kilometers above the Earth's surface, and its thickness is around 25 kilometers. Like the D layer, it also disappears at the night. And the reason it's quite obvious that during the night time, the recombination of the ions takes place and the molecules are formed. So if there are no ions, means there is no ionosphere, and there will be no reflection of the frequency waves, high frequency waves. So due to the absence of sun, that is during the night time, when the radiation is consequently no longer received, okay, so as there is no sun, so there is no ionization. The main effect of the E layer are to aid the mid-frequency surface wave propagation a little and to reflect some of the high frequency waves in the daytime. So the function of E layer is simply to reflect the high frequency waves during the daytime only. The E layer is a thin layer of very high ionization density. So there is again a very thin layer of high ionization density, that is ES layer, and sometimes it makes an appearance with the E layer. It is also called as sporadic E layer, and if its formation takes place, it persists during the night time also. So what is sporadic E layer? It is a very high ionization density layer. It is formed just above the E layer, and uh, it occurs and it persists during the night time also. On an average, on a whole, we can say that it does not have an important part in long distance propagation, but sometimes it permits unexpectedly good reception, and its causes are not well understood. So, why this sporadic layer is forming, how it is forming, and why it is permitting unexpected good reception, its causes are not yet well understood. The F1 layer, as shown in this figure, exists at a height of around 180 kilometers in the daytime, and it combines with F2 layer at the night time. So here the combination takes place. And in the daytime, the average thickness of this layer is around 20 kilometers. Although some of the high frequency waves are reflected from it, most of it passes through to be reflected from F2 layer. Means we say here we see that the F1 layer combines with the F2 layer at the night time. Average thickness of F2 layer is 20 kilometers. Thus, the main effect of F1 layer is to provide more absorption for the high frequency waves. The point here is to be noted that the absorption effect of this and any other layer is doubled because the high frequency waves are absorbed on the way up. Means here also the absorption takes place, and at the D and E layer also the absorption takes place. So this is because the high frequency waves are absorbed on the way up and also on the way down. The F2 layer is the far most important because it is acting as a reflecting medium for the high frequency radio waves. Its approximate thickness is around 200 kilometers and its height ranges from 250 kilometers to 400 kilometers during the daytime. At night time, its average height falls about 300 kilometer, where it combines with the F1 layer. The height of the F1 layer and its ionization density varies very tremendously, as it is shown in this figure that the height of the F1 layer during the equinox is much above the F2 layer. Generally, the height of the F1 layer is around 250 kilometers, but during the equinox, the height ranges to 350 kilometers. The height of F2 layer in the month of December, that is in the winters, is around 280 kilometers. But the height of the F2 layers in the summer, again it extends to 350 kilometers and 380 kilometers above. So it is totally dependent upon the time of the day, the average ambient temperature, and the sun spot cycle. It is most noticeable that F layer persists at night also. This F layer persists at night also, unlike the other D layer and E layer. So this is because of the number of reasons. The first is that it is a topmost layer and it is most highly ionized layer, and there is some chance for the ionization of this F layer to remain at night to some extent at least. The other reasons may be possibly that although the ionization density of F layer is high, but the actual air density is not high, and thus most of the molecules in it are ionized because the air is not actually dense. So as the air density is less, so the formation of molecules is less, and hence most of the particles are remain in ionized conditions itself. To quote further, this low actual density gives a molecules a large mean free path, that is the statistical average distance a molecule travels before colliding with another molecule. What does it mean? It means that the molecules have large free mean path. So there is a less chance of formation of molecules, and hence the ionized layer exists during the night because molecule formation is not taking place because of less air density. So this low molecular collision rate in turns means that in this layer ionization does not disappear as soon as the sun sets. The ionization remains although the sun has set. Finally, we can say that for better high frequency reception at night is the combination of this F1 layer and F2 layer into the single F layer, and the virtual disappearance of the other two layers, causing the noticeable absorption during the daytime. Means during what happens during the night time, the F1 and the F2 layer combines to form the F layer at the night time. So we are having a better high frequency reception at night. So this is the description about the various ionospheric layers and their regular variations. Now next point is reflection mechanism. The electromagnetic waves returned to Earth by one of the layers of the ionosphere that appear to have been reflected. So electromagnetic waves are returned to Earth by the layers of ionosphere because they reflect the electromagnetic waves. As the ionization density increases for a wave approaching the given layer at an angle, so the refractive index of the layer is reduced. As the density increases, refractive index decreases. So this is happening because there is an increase in the conductivity of layer and therefore reduction in its electrical density or dielectric constant. So as the conductivity increasing, so the electrical density or dielectric constant is reducing. So this we are saying about the ionospheric layer. Hence, the incident wave is gradually bent farther and farther away from the normal. If the rate of change of refractive index per unit height is sufficient, the refracted ray will eventually become parallel to that layer. Now this ray it will bend downwards and finally emerge from an ionized layer at an angle equal to the angle of incidence. Some absorption may have taken place, but waves has been returned to the ionosphere. So waves has been returned by the ionosphere, although there some absorption may take place, as we have discussed earlier. Now we will discuss the various terminologies related with the skywave propagation, such as virtual height, actual height, skip distance, etc. We will discuss it one by one. The first term is the virtual height. This virtual height. So this hash line indicates the ionized layer, and this thick hash lines indicates the most of the density of the ionized layer. So the virtual height of an ionosphere layer is best understood with the help of this diagram. So studying this diagram, we can measure what is virtual height, we can measure what is actual height, what is the projected path, and what will be the actual path, what will be the reflected path. Now we will see what is the definition of the virtual height, the actual height. So in this figure we can see that the wave is refracted. Refracted means it is bent down gradually rather than sharply. So this is gradual bending here. This is gradual bending. So here I can say that this is the sharp bending. This is gradual bending. However, below the ionized layer, the incident ray, so this is the incident ray, and the refracted ray follows the exactly same path if they have been reflected such that the reflection had taken place from a surface located at a greater height. So this greater height is called as the virtual height of this layer. So what here the virtual height means? The virtual height here it means the incident ray and the refracted ray that they follow the same path as they would have been reflected if the reflection has taken from a place from a surface. So this is higher altitude surface from where the reflection was taking place. Reflection had taken place from a surface located at a greater height, and this reflection point where actual reflection has been taken place from that point to the earth's surface. So this height is the virtual height. So if the virtual height of the layer is known, it is quite simple to calculate the angle of incidence required for the wave to return to ground at a selected spot. So if virtual height we can calculate, then we can calculate the angle of incidence that is required for a wave to return to ground at a selected spot. Now next is the critical frequency. So critical frequency f of c for a given layer is the highest frequency that will be returned down to earth by that layer after having been beamed straight up at it. It means the highest height means I will be standing at this point and I will be transmitting this frequency